Remember last week when we were talking about all of the ways to make the long E sound? There were so many of them. In case you forgot, here's a reminder. The first way is the letter E all by itself. Can you think of or remember any words that have this long E pattern? Some words that follow this pattern are we, he, and she. The next way to make the long E sound is by putting two E's together. Can you remember any words that follow this pattern? Two examples are be and need. The third way to make this pattern is by putting E and A together. What are some words that follow this pattern? A couple words that follow this pattern are mean and leaf. So far we've looked at 3 ways to make the long E sound, but there are still 4 more. Let's take a look. The next way to make the long E sound is I and E together. Remember that I comes before E. Do you remember any words that have this pattern? 2 great examples of this pattern are the words thief and chief. Remember that the I comes before the E in these examples. The next one is a little tricky because at first glance it doesn't seem to make sense. The letter Y all by itself can make the long E sound when it replaces a vowel. Most times you will find this pattern at the end of a word. I've put the next 2 together because they are very similar but also very tricky. Y by itself and EY both make the long E sound. Most of the time you'll find these at the end of the word, but watch out. Here's an example of each. Pony has a Y all by itself and is at the end of a word. But look at the word keys. It has the EY pattern, but it isn't quite at the end. Remember, you gotta watch out for these. The last one is one that you know very well. It's E, another letter, and then an E at the end. You probably know this as super E. Remember that super E is at the end. It can jump over one letter, and if it finds a vowel, such as E, it makes it say its name. Remember that the 7 ways to make the long E sound are E by itself, EE, EA, IE, Y by itself, EY, and E space E, the super E. I hope that this has helped you remember the ways to make the long E sound.